Beneath the crashing waves, in the darkest depths of the ocean, lurks a legend so fearsome it has haunted sailors for centuries, the Kraken. A monstrous creature of myth and terror, said to have tentacles powerful enough to crush ships and drag them into the abyss. But is this colossal sea monster mere folklore, or could it be based on something real? Join us as we dive into the mysterious origins of the Kraken, explore eyewitness accounts, and uncover the science behind the stories. Brace yourself for a journey into the deep, where legends come to life. Title card fades in, Kraken, the monster of the deep. Kraken facts. The year was 1749, and the Baltic Sea was a storm of activity. Merchant ships dotted the expanse, their sails straining against the cold northern wind, laden with spices, timber, and treasures destined for distant ports. Among these vessels was the Harpy, a sturdy brig captained by Elias Thorne, a man renowned for his unyielding courage and taste for adventure. But the Harpy's latest voyage was not one of trade. It was an expedition driven by whispers of a leviathan lurking beneath the waves. Rumors had spread of a sea monster capable of dragging entire ships into the abyss. Sailors spoke in hushed tones of the Kraken, a creature of immeasurable size and strength, its tentacles like walls of iron, its eyes as ancient as the ocean itself. The tales were fanciful, the stuff of legend, or so most believed. But Elias Thorne was not most men. Setting sail. Elias stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the horizon. His first mate, Abram, a wiry man with a knack for navigation and a deep skepticism of sea myths, approached him. "Captain," Abram began, his voice low. "We've been sailing this course for weeks. The men are restless, and the supplies are dwindling. Are we chasing shadows?" Elias turned, his weathered face set in determination. "Shadows don't leave wreckage, Abram. The Nordwind was a good ship, crewed by seasoned sailors, yet she vanished without a trace. And what of the reports from Skagen? Fishermen claim to have seen something in the deep, something vast." Abram sighed, casting a wary glance at the crew below. They were hardened seafarers, but the tension among them was palpable. Talk of the Kraken had stirred fear even in the bravest hearts. "Let's hope the sea doesn't take us before we find your monster," Abram muttered, retreating to oversee the ship's course. The first sign. Days turned to weeks, and the Harpy pressed deeper into uncharted waters. The air grew heavy with salt, and the sea became eerily still, as though holding its breath. One morning, as the sun struggled to pierce the thick fog, a cry rang out from the crow's nest. "Captain! Something in the water!" Elias and Abram rushed to the bow, their eyes scanning the waves. At first, there was nothing, just the endless expanse of grey-blue sea. Then they saw it, a disturbance in the water, ripples too large to be caused by any ordinary creature. Suddenly, the surface broke, revealing a massive tentacle that reached skyward before crashing back into the depths, sending a spray of seawater over the deck. The crew froze, their faces pale with fear. "It's here," Elias said, his voice barely a whisper. Into the abyss. The Kraken's attack was swift and merciless. Without warning, the sea erupted around them, and more tentacles emerged, their movements both mesmerizing and terrifying. They lashed out, wrapping around the hull of the Harpy, the timbers groaning under the immense pressure. "Cut the ropes! Free the ship!" Elias bellowed, drawing his sword. The crew sprang into action, hacking at the tentacles with axes and blades. The Kraken's flesh was tough, and their strikes seemed to do little more than anger the beast. One of the tentacles swept across the deck, sending men and supplies tumbling into the churning sea. Amid the chaos, Elias spotted the creature's massive eye, a glowing orb the size of a ship's wheel, peering up from beneath the water. It radiated an intelligence that chilled him to the core. "Fire the cannons!" he shouted. The gunners scrambled to their posts, loading the cannons with grape shot and firing into the sea. The explosions echoed across the water, and for a moment the Kraken recoiled, its tentacles withdrawing. But the reprieve was short-lived. With a deafening roar, the beast surged upward, its massive head breaking the surface. It was unlike anything Elias had ever seen, its body covered in dark, glistening scales, its maw lined with rows of razor-sharp teeth. A desperate plan. Elias knew they couldn't fight the Kraken head-on. The creature was too powerful, its size and strength overwhelming. They needed a plan, and fast. "Abram," Elias called. "Get the remaining powder barrels to the stern." Abram hesitated, realizing what Elias intended. "You mean to bait it?" "It's our only chance," Elias replied. "We lure it close, then detonate the barrels. It's risky, but we'll be dead if we do nothing." Reluctantly, Abram rallied the crew to move the barrels. The Kraken continued its assault, but the men worked with grim determination, knowing their survival depended on it. Once the barrels were in place, Elias took a lantern and climbed to the ship's railing. "Over here, you monster," he shouted, waving the lantern to catch the Kraken's attention. The beast turned, its immense body slicing through the water like a knife. It surged toward the ship, its tentacles reaching out. "Now, Abram!" Elias yelled. Abram lit a long fuse connected to the barrels and shouted for the crew to brace themselves. The explosion. The Kraken reached the stern just as the fuse burned out. The explosion that followed was deafening, a fiery blast that rocked the Harpy and sent plumes of water and smoke into the air. The force of the blast severed several of the Kraken's tentacles and sent the creature retreating into the depths with a blood-curdling screech. The crew erupted in cheers, but Elias remained vigilant, scanning the water for any sign of the beast. Minutes passed, and the sea grew calm once more. "Is it dead?" Abram asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. Elias shook his head. "I doubt it. A creature like that doesn't die easily. But it won't forget this encounter." The aftermath. The Harpy limped back to port, its hull battered and its crew weary but alive. The story of their encounter spread like wildfire, cementing Elias Thorne's reputation as a fearless captain and adding a new chapter to the legend of the Kraken. For years to come, sailors would tell the tale of the Harpy and its battle with the monster of the deep. Some believed the Kraken had been killed, while others were certain it still lurked beneath the waves, waiting for the right moment to strike again. As for Elias, he never sought the creature again. The memory of its glowing eye and the sound of its roar haunted him, a reminder of the unfathomable power hidden within the ocean's depths. But every time he set sail, he couldn't help but glance at the horizon, half expecting to see the telltale ripple of the Kraken's return. For though the monster was out of sight, it was never truly gone. Legends, after all, have a way of enduring, just like the sea itself. From ancient sailors' tales to modern-day mysteries, the Kraken continues to capture our imagination, its legend a chilling reminder of the ocean's power and its secrets. What do you think? Is the Kraken a creature of myth, or could it have a basis in reality? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the unknown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into myth and mystery. Until next time, stay curious, and beware of what lies beneath. Text on screen. Thanks for watching. Waterwave subscribe for more.